In our previous episode, we discussed the major events that have led Bostonians to riot during the Revolution. Yet local rebels have also risen up for other less familiar reasons, but with just as much violence. And this has continued even after the British Army sailed away. Riots against the crown have occurred in Boston for reasons beyond protesting imperial taxation and military occupation. In fact, threats of violence, or even actual violence, were often used against the people that Boston rebels considered their greatest enemies. These were customs agents and customs commissioners, men like Charles Paxton, who vigorously enforced laws against smuggling and searched the property of merchants without a warrant. Other targets were the importers of British goods, especially if they continued to bring their products to market while the rebels were leading boycotts against them. Business owners who defied the boycott could expect to see their windows broken, their goods destroyed, and their names vilified in the press and in handbills on the street. The most dangerous symbol was a black tarry handprint placed on their business, a symbol that they had been marked for tarring and feathering. The process was brutal and efficient. Essentially, a mob would pour molten tar over their enemy, followed by a coating of feathers to shame him. In some cases, though, it was even worse. Customs agent John Malcolm was stripped naked in the winter, covered in tar and feathers, beaten and whipped, before being taken to the gallows and threatened with having his ears cut off. This event, however, inspired such a backlash, even among radical patriots, that tarring and feathering has declined as a tool of mob action. But the threat of rioting remained, even after royal officials left town and Bostonians renounced their allegiance to the king. So if you come to Boston in 1776, be careful of doing things that may incur the wrath of the mob. Obviously, don't speak favorably of the king or royal officials, and don't provide aid and intelligence to the enemy. You can be hanged for that. Also, don't try to defy the trade embargo and import British goods. And if you're a merchant, don't hoard the goods you do import and price gouge your customers. In one case, a mob of 100 women seized merchant Thomas Boylston by the neck, threw him in a cart, took his warehouse keys, and stole the coffee he'd been hoarding. There were even rumors that Boylston had been spanked by the angry women, and as Abigail Adams reported, a large concourse of men stood amazed, silent spectators of the whole transaction. For more information on this and other violent spectacles in town, check out my book, Boston 1776, A Rogue Tour of Revolution City, or subscribe to the newsletter on my website and add a comment expressing your own thoughts on the matter, because mobs are a key aspect of the revolution in Boston and prove that there's no other place like it then or now.